What's up, my name is Justin Tang and I'm a sophomore at Boston University Questrom School of Business, concentrating in information systems, business analytics, and journalism. Since it's college app season, I wanted to give you some tips on applying to Boston University. I'm going to talk a little bit about my personal experiences while applying. I'm also going to go into some myths about applying to BU. I'll talk about some personal essays, and of course I'm also going to talk about the logistical details of literally just applying to BU. BU is probably not the only school you're applying to, so hopefully some of these tips will kind of overlap with some of your other schools. And if you want to skip to a certain section where I talk about a certain thing, all of the timestamps are in the description. Before we get started, I wanted to make an announcement. I'm going to be doing a fundraiser for Families for Justice as Healing. Families for Justice as Healing is an organization based in the Roxbury neighborhood of Boston that works to end the incarceration of women and girls. So basically what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be reading all your college essays for $5 an essay, and I'll also be providing some feedback for you. And 100% of the proceeds are going to go to that organization. So if you're interested and if you want to learn more about this, I'm going to leave that information also in the description. Now, if you're here to see me tell you about all of my high school stats and things like that, I'm gonna keep it straight. This is not the type of video. I don't have anything against those types of videos, but I just feel like if I'm just gonna be giving you information about my own stats, it's just gonna be not very accurate and just purely anecdotal evidence. I know every single college counselor is going to tell you this. You're going to be judged holistically, and you're not going to be compared to people that have a very different educational or social background from you. For example, if you went to school that didn't offer AP or IB classes, they're not going to expect you to have AP or IB classes on your transcript. Every student is unique, so it doesn't matter what my stats are compared to yours. I'm just one student out of thousands of BU students. If you really want to see my stats, I actually did put them in my college decisions video back in 2019, so go ahead and check that out. But again, I'm not what matters here, it's you. We're going to be talking about you. You've put in all the hard work and all of the effort for the past 3 years, and chances are your scores and your GPA aren't going to change drastically now. So be happy and be proud of where you are right now. That's definitely something I struggled with during my application process, but right now all you can do is put your best foot forward and kill this application. That's basically our theme today, putting your best foot forward and showing the world how great you are. Right now, that 1 C that you got in calculus last year doesn't matter. That's in the past. That's completely over. Don't even think about it. And without further ado, now let's get to the application. First thing I want to talk about is deadlines. BU has 3 main deadlines. There's early decision, there's the scholarship deadline, and there's regular decision. If you don't know what early decision is, it's basically where you apply to BU and submit your application early, and then you get notified of your acceptance early. The catch is that you can only apply to 1 school with early decision, and if you are accepted, besides very extreme circumstances, you probably will have to attend BU if you're accepted. ED applications are due November 1st. Next deadline is the trustee and presidential scholarships deadline. There's essays associated with that, but make sure if you want to apply to those scholarships to apply before December 1st. Highly recommend that. And finally, regular decision applications are due January 1st. So you actually have 2 options when it comes to applying to BU. There's the Common App and then there's the Coalition App. They actually didn't even offer the Coalition App when I applied 2 years ago. Both of them are pretty much the same, and there's not better chances of getting in based on which application you choose because they're so similar. So choose which one's best for you. If you have a bunch of applications that you're doing on the Common App and none on the Coalition App, there's no reason to start a Coalition App application. I'm going to focus on the Common App because that's the one I'm more familiar with. Basically, it consists of submitting your high school transcript, your grades, a counselor recommendation letter, a teacher recommendation letter, your standardized test grades, which are actually optional this year because of COVID, but that's subject to change if you're not watching 2020, and then any other requirements based on school. So for example, if you're applying to the College of Fine Arts, you'll probably have to submit a portfolio. When you're applying, you do have to select which school that you want to attend at BU. So for example, I'm in the Questrom School of Business. There's also College of Engineering, College of Communication, College of Arts and Sciences, School of Hospitality Administration. There's a bunch of different schools at BU. There are no impacted majors, then there are no impacted schools at BU. So for example, if you want to be an engineer, it's not going to be harder to get into BU because you're applying to the engineering program. If you're completely undecided about what you want to do, just choose undeclared under the College of Arts and Sciences as your major, or you can apply to the College of General Studies, but I'll talk about that a little bit later. You're going to submit a total of 2 different essays to BU. One is your Common App essay and one is BU specific. Your Common App essay or your Coalition essay is just going to be the one essay that you use for all of the schools. I think it's like a 650 word essay. There's a bunch of different prompts for it. I'm not going to be your resource for that because I don't really remember too much about that, but there's plenty of resources online if you want to look into that. And the BU specific prompt is, What about being a student at Boston University most excites you? So for this one, I'd highly recommend that you do some extensive research about some of the programs that BU has to offer, including classes, student organizations, and other things like that. Don't just say, I want to go to BU because I want to be in Boston, because there's like 26 other schools in Boston. So there's nothing special about saying that. Get specific and show that you actually do want to attend BU specifically. Unless you don't, in which case just save your money. What are you doing? Why are you still watching this video? So if you've already started your application, you might be wondering, number one, what's the Kilachand Honors College? And number two, what's the College of General Studies? If you haven't heard of these terms yet, basically on the BU application, they ask you if you want to be considered for these two programs. Let's start with the College of General Studies, which is usually shortened to CGS. CGS is a program where you're admitted one semester late, so that means for your freshman year, you'd start in the spring. It's about a 2-year program where you're going to be working with the same students and the same faculty for most of those 2 years and getting all your general education requirements out of the way. There's also usually a part of CGS where all the students go to London for 6 weeks during the summer, but right now that's kind of on hold because of COVID, but obviously that might change in the future. I'm personally not in this program, but I will link the info in the description if you want to learn more about that. And then the Kilachand Honors College is one of the smaller programs that actually requires more essays to apply. Basically, if you're a freshman and you get into the Kilachand Honors College, you would be living with all the other Kilachand Honors College people in their specific dorm, and you'll also be taking a bunch of seminar courses throughout your 4 years at BU. It's definitely very prestigious, it's definitely a lot of work, so I would say it's not for everybody. Personally, I chose not to apply because I wasn't really ready for that commitment, but it's completely up to you. If you think you're up for it, if you're really interested in those seminar topics, go for it. I will also include links in the description for more info. And then the last thing I want to talk about for the application is the fees. The application fee for BU is $80, but if you want to have a waiver, definitely reach out to BU admissions for that. Okay, now I want to do some quick MythBusters. Some of these are going to be completely true or completely false, and then there's going to be some that have a catch. I have to be a straight A student. You really don't. I definitely wasn't. Again, BU's consideration of your grades are going to be different based on your academic background, but nobody's perfect. If BU is a school that you vibe with, and if BU is a school that you really want to attend, just go for it. Just submit your application. It's easier to get in through early decision. Technically, yes, BU actually does admit 50% of its freshman class through early decision. However, that's not to say that it's impossible to get in through regular decision. I personally got in through regular decision. 50% of the class got in through regular decision, so it's definitely not impossible. What I would say is this: if you're not in a place to make that huge commitment of early decision to BU, don't do it. Or at least don't force yourself to do that. You know what's best for yourself. I'm not gonna get enough financial aid. I know financial aid is a touchy topic for a lot of us, but BU means 100% of demonstrated need for US citizens and permanent residents. So that's gonna depend on your FAFSA mostly. If you feel that you weren't awarded enough, definitely reach out to BU financial aid, maybe submit an appeal, that never hurts. For now, worry about applying to BU, and once you're accepted, then we can talk about financial aid. And finally, I'm not going to get into BU, so why should I even apply? This one seems kind of obvious, but personally, I actually had these exact thoughts on December 31st, literally 24 hours before I was supposed to submit my application. I was applying to both BU and NYU at the time, I think, and I was stressing about both of those applications so much that I pretty much had like a mental breakdown the day before I was supposed to submit. Now, obviously, it did work out for me. I did submit my applications. I did get into BU. So what I'm saying here is, it never hurts to try. Don't just not apply because you don't think you're gonna get in. And that leads me to my next topic. So this is just gonna be some of my own personal experience when I was applying to BU, and I'm gonna focus mostly on my essays here. In my Why BU essay, I focused a lot more about what I wanted to do as a business major specifically at BU. Looking back on it, a lot of the topics I talked about, such as like the BU Hub Cross College Challenge or something, they're all programs that I'm not really interested in anymore, but that's because my interests have changed. I also focused a lot about BU's proximity to downtown Boston, just being in an urban environment, career opportunities and internship opportunities and all like those buzzwords. I think my main advice here is to just be genuine. Definitely don't just copy an essay from another school and just hope that it works out. Put in the effort to find those resources that BU has to offer and then really show that you're passionate about it. And then for my Common App essay, I mostly wrote about my leadership experience at one of my student orgs during high school. It was like a decent essay. I wouldn't say it was like a tearjerker or anything, but everyone's Common App essay is completely different, and also it's definitely not my expertise. So if you want to learn more about Common Apps, definitely do a quick Google search. There's probably other YouTube videos that are much better than this. And with that, I'm going to leave you with some closing thoughts. Bottom line is, be who you are and show who you truly are. Be honest with yourself. Don't be afraid to talk about your accomplishments because that is a part of you. I know some people inevitably lie about their accomplishments in their college apps, and some of them even end up going to their dream schools. My line of thinking here is this. If you got into a school by lying about yourself and lying about your accomplishments, did you really get in? Or did a fictional version of yourself get in? And did you deserve it? I do think that in the end, at least most of the time, things work out and we end up where we're supposed to be. Obviously the world isn't perfect, but I think for me, it was almost like destiny that I ended up at BU because I really do enjoy it so much. BU wasn't even my first choice out of the schools I was accepted to. It was actually the last one on my list until I visited campus and it just clicked. So perhaps you'll feel that click too. Also, make sure you're aware of your deadlines. I foolishly did not know that the trustee and president scholarship deadline was December 1st, so I didn't get to apply to those. Put them in your calendar, write them down, do whatever you need to do to make sure that you meet those deadlines. Also, just a reminder, I'll be reading college essays and giving feedback for $5 for Families for Justice as Healing. Info in the description. And as always, if you have any questions, leave them in the comments below or DM me. I'll try to get back to you as soon as possible. And with that, best of luck to you. Good luck. I know how stressful this time is, so if you ever need any advice, hit me up. Stay safe, be well, and I'll see you next time.